Hello, my dear students. My name is Rosa teacher. Hope you all are doing well. Stay home, stay safe. Keep your surroundings clean and wash your hands regularly. It's been a long time that we didn't meet and the teaching learning process didn't took place. But I strongly believe that learning process is a never ending one. We just go with the flow and learn some or the other thing. So today, I choose the platform of technology to learn and teach and meet you all once again. Students, you all are aware about coronavirus. It somewhere started in Yuan in a meat market, and from there it started spreading up all over the world right now, and it's a global problem. But I have a question for you. From where did you all got information about this virus, or how does it spread? What all precautions we are supposed to take? Your answer will be we got this information from social media, from news channels, newspapers, Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube videos, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. Correct. These are the sources from which we got information about coronavirus. In modern times, we are using modern technology as a source in order to seek information about whatever is going on throughout the world. But what about the past? Like in Stone Age times, or maybe in the times of Shivaji Maharaj, how did we used to get the information? So that is what today we are going to learn. Today, I've selected History and Civics of Standard 7th. The first chapter, that is the sources of history. What are sources of history? Sources, in simple terms, is a medium through which information is obtained. And history, if I'm going to just break the word history, is story. So a story which somewhere happened in the past. History is all about past, a study of past. We can even say that a detailed study of past along with the evidence. So today we are going to learn about sources of history. The period from 9th century CE till the end of 18th century CE is considered to be a medieval period of Indian history. Just like science, history is based on authentic evidence or proofs. These proofs are known as sources of history. So today we are going to learn about different sources of history. There are altogether 3 sources of history. The first one is material sources, the second one is written sources, and the third one is oral sources. Material sources is even known as physical sources. So today we are going to study deeply about the material sources, that are forts, memorials, buildings, caves, inscriptions, coins, and copper plates. So class, what are material sources? Now source, we got to know that from which we obtain information is known as a source. So what is a material? A material is a substance or a mixture of substance that constitutes an object. So the source through which we get this information, especially the material sources, are like forts, the copper plates, coins, inscriptions, buildings, cave, and memorials. The material sources plays one of the important role, because material sources are the one which we can see and touch. We can feel it. In simple terms, we know it. We can see it with our eyes. Forts are one of the most important material sources. Forts are actual places where the history has taken place. For example, if you go for a visit of a fort, you can actually rebuild your memory with your imagination once again. What happened over there long back? A fort was constructed in order to influence the people, showcase the wealth, power, and the glory of the king. the number of forts a king used to have, the more powerful he was. And the power of a king was mostly considered under the number of forts he was having. There are different types of forts, like the forts which are built on plains, first one. The second one is the forts which are built on hill. Those are known as hill fort. Raigad is one of the best examples of the hill fort. And there are even fort which are built in forest. Then we have the forts which are built in the sea. Murud Janjira is one of the well-known fort, sea fort. It is a tourist attraction. Many of the tourist people love to go and visit over there because it shows up the way it has been built. I would like to show you some of the forts. This is Fort Devgiri. This is Fort Raigad's Gate, that is Pali Gate. This is Fort Panhala, Teen Darwaja. This is Raigad Fort, one of the beautiful fort. This is an example of the sea fort, that is Fort Padmadurg. Sindhudurg is also one of the example of the sea fort. This is Fort Jinji. Class, many a times we have read in history that Gad ala pan Sinha gela. So whenever we used to read this, we used to be like confused, like Gad ala fine, Sinha means a lion, like Sinha kasa kai gela. But if you have seen the recent movie of Tanaji, in that the lion is the Tanaji. Tanaji was one of the loyal and a very good person of Shivaji Maharaj, who has helped Shivaji Maharaj to get back the Kondana fort, which was captured by the enemies. With the help of Tanaji, Shivaji Maharaj got his Kondana fort back. And that is the reason that Kondana fort has renamed after Tanaji Malusari, who was considered as a lion, as a Sinhagad. So right now we call Kondana fort as Sinhagad. Now what happens, class? When such forts are renamed again, we get to know the history behind it, the need there was for a fort to be renamed after a person, the incident which took place. These all are the sources of history which helps us to gain more information about the incident that took place, what made to rename the fort. Along with that, see, in the movie we have seen that there were different gates of the Sinhagad, that is Kondana fort, and through some of the hidden ways, or maybe some of the gates, we entered into the Kondana fort. So whenever we are going to visit forts, it helps us to our imaginations to rebuild that particular moment took place at that place long before. So that is one of the advantages of sources of history, especially the forts, that we can through our imagination just relive our memory, the story that happened over there long back, and the reasons behind the change in the name of the forts, how difficult it is to get into the fort. So this is our first sources of history, that are forts. So let us move on to the second one. The second one is monument. The second important source of history is monument. A monument is a type of a structure that was created to commemorate a person or event, or which has been relevant to a social group as a part of their remembrance of historic time and cultural heritage. Now, what all comes under monuments? Monuments are like samadhis, the grave, virghala, palaces, or queen's quarters, or ministerial mansions. Now, queen quarters. Now, what are queen quarters? The building or a mansion or a monument that was especially built for a queen, which has a special rooms with special decor interiors that is especially specified for the queen only, for her and her friends, in order to spend a beautiful time with our friends. That comes under queen quarters. Then we have ministerial mansions. What are ministerial mansions? Ministerial mansions are those mansions which are especially designed for the ministers to sit along with the king and decide about the administrations or the other purposes that are going on in a kingdom. After that, we move on to the Samadhi. This is the Samadhi of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj at Raigad Fort. Samadhi can even be a meditative consciousness, a state of meditative consciousness. It is a matter of a soul, not a body. It helps us to join the physical, spiritual, mental emotions. Samadhi is a total consciousness and a super enlightenment. This is one of the examples of the monuments. After this, we go on to Veer-Gala. What are Veer-Gala? This is an example of a Veer-Gala. Veer-Gala is known as a martyr stone, were erected during the 5th to 13th century. Actually, these are built either by the families or the local villagers in the memory of a unsung soldier. So in the memory of a soldier who has dedicated his life and lived his life for the nation or a king, in his memory these Veer-Galas are built. So these even comes under the monuments. And the last one that comes under the monument section is the grave. A grave is a place where a dead body is buried. So that even comes under the monuments. So we are done with two sources of material sources of history. The first one is forts. There are different types of forts, as we have seen. And then we have monuments. So under monuments we have samadhis, we have grave, Veer-Gala, palaces, queen quarters, as well as ministerial mansions. So let's move on to the third one. The third material source of history is cave. A cave is a natural or a man-made void in the ground, especially a space large enough for a human to stay. Now, caves are often formed by the weathering of the rocks, or it can be even built by us. In ancient times, people used to live in caves, and cave paintings are very well known for it. Ajanta caves are the famous one. Now what happens with the help of these caves is the caves helps us to know more about the people who used to live there. Now how is this possible? Most of the caves have cave paintings. Through these paintings, we get to know about the day-to-day life activities which those people used to have, because those people used to paint these things on the walls. The colors used by them, they were not chemical colors. They used to have natural colors from flowers and leaves. So this helps us to learn more and more about history from those people. So the caves are one of the most important one, because it helps us about the day-to-day life activities, how they used to live, or like what all grouping gatherings they used to have. So this is one of the important one, as caves gives us more information about the people who used to live during those ages. So class, we are done with three sources of material history, three material sources of history. That is, first one fort, the second one is monument, and the third one is cave. Fourth one is the most important one, that is coins. Coins from another source of history, which gives us a lot of information about from where do they belong. The reason for it to be minted. This all information can be gathered from coins. Now in ancient, coins were mostly made up of gold, silver, copper or lead. Coins contains religious and legendary symbols. About 800 gold coins were minted during the coronation ceremony of Shivaji Maharaj. Apart from that, we get to know about like whose rule is going on. A particular ruler has a particular symbol on those coins. So even coins gives us more information from which era or from which king does it belongs to. We get to know about the ruler, their period, governance, religious ideas. We also learn about financial transaction and economical conditions prevailing at that time with the help of coins. Now there are some coins on the screen, such as in the upper one you can see a coin of the Peshwa period. Peshwas used the Arabic and the Persian language on their coins. Now down one are the examples of a coin from the Hyder Ali. On the left side of the Hyder Ali coin you can see Shiva Parvati. And there are also, it is also said that the coins which were minted by Akbar used to have the Ram and Sita symbols on them. Now this shows us the religious coordination that we used to have between the rulers. Now Indian currency is also known as rupee, which we currently use the term for money, but earlier it was not so. We used to have different names for rupee, such as Kaudi, Damdi, Dela, Pai, Paisa, Ana, and currently we are using rupee. So I took out some of the old coins which I have with me in order to have a detail about how coins play a vital role, and especially in like material sources of history, to give us more information about history. Now these are the coins which are on screen are some of my personal collection, which I would love to show you how this helps us to know about which era or which period does this coin belongs to. Now class, in 1990 and 2000 we used to have charana and atana, which is not into use right now. So these are some of the coins which I have with. Over here you can see it is a 50 paise coin, and the top one is minted in 1988. Now even all the three coins are 50 paise coins. Those are different coins. Earlier we used to have the upper one, and later on we are having the down one, which we have down now. Apart from that, if you look well, that the right side coin is having a symbol of Indira Gandhi minted on it. There is a reason for it, I'll tell you. This is a 50 paise coin which I have shown you in the earlier image. If you observe it clearly, you can see that down it is written as 1917, that is the birth year of Indira Gandhi, until 1984, that is the death year of Indira Gandhi. So this coin was minted on the name of Indira Gandhi in order to show the lifespan of her, the birth date along with the death date. So this shows us that this particular coin was a tribute to Indira Gandhi. Apart from that, I even have other coin for this. Class, this is a 1 rupee coin which was minted in 1999, and it was minted on the name of Santa Dhyaneshwar, who was from 1274 to 1296 AD. It is clearly written over there, it is AD. AD stands for Anno Domini. So that is a time period approximately of 21 years where Santa Dhyaneshwar has enlightened us with his knowledge. Not like now. See, now we have rupees 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupees, 10 rupees coin. We even have 20 rupees currency note, 50. Then we have 100, 500, 2000. But earlier these were the currencies which used. So these notes used to help us the time it was minted along with a specific symbol. If we are going to give a tribute to someone, that particular symbol used to be minted on this. So let's have a look about with these coins. Now this is the one which I have shown about Indira Gandhi. This is the 1 paise coin. I'll tell you more about this. This is a 10 paise coin. It was minted around 1962. This we have seen just now. This is a 3 paise coin which I have. Now let me tell you about this. One of the important thing which I want to tell you. Here it is written like Sola Ana Sach. Now Ana is a term which was used to earlier when we used to consider rupee, as we say it rupee for money. The term used for money is rupee right now. Earlier we used to call it Ana. The term, the measure was different. Now what is the Sola Ana Sach? Before going for this one, I would like to show you one image. Class, this is a 1 paise coin. This coin was minted in 1963. So this is 1 paise. 100 such paise will make 1 rupee. Now 25 such paise, 25. This is 1 paise. So 25 coins of 1 paise will make a 25 paise. I'll show the image of that. Now this is a image of 25 paise. Earlier I have shown you 1 paise. 25 such 1 paises will make 25 paise. 25 paise is known as 4 ana. I am repeating again, 4 ana. There is a reason why I am repeating it. Ana is a term for the money, as I said you. Now this is 4 ana. 25 paise is 4 ana. Now, okay class, look at this picture. If you see over here, teacher has displayed 25 paise, 4 coins in the first line. Then second is 50 paise, 2 coins, and 1 rupee, 1 coin. Now as I said you, 1 paise earlier which I have shown, 25 such paise will make each 25 paise coin. It means 1 25 paise is known as 4 ana. 2 such 4 anas will make 1 8 ana. 8 ana means 50 paise. Now 4 ana plus 4 ana will make 8 ana, that is 50 paise. So you are getting, I am having 4 4 anas over top. 4 4 anas together will make 50 paise, 50 paise, that is 2 8 anas. Then 2 8 anas, 8 plus 8, Hindi term, 8 plus 8 will make 16 ana. 16 ana is 1 rupee. 16 ana. 16 ana is 1 rupee. Now this 1 rupee, if you are going to just convert it into paise, 1 rupee is 100 paise. Now let back to the earlier image which we have seen. So this was the one which I have shown you earlier about 16 ana such. That means 100% truth. So this is a term which normally people use in order to say when you're telling 100% truth. Yeah, 16 ana such. Now what is this 16 ana such? 16 means 16. Anas, just now we have seen 4 4 anas will make 2 8 anas, 8. 2 8 anas, 8 and 8, that is 16, is equal to 1 rupee, and 1 rupee is equal to 100 paise, and from there we get about 16 ana such. So the use of these paise and rupees, even we can see that like people used to use such terms 16 ana such long time. Nowadays it has been decreased due to modernization, but this even shows us the period long back when people used to use these sums. Those even coins plays a very important role as a material sources of history, because that gives us more information about the era, the people, the trade, the economy which they used to take place during that time. Apart from that, I even have one more thing for you all. One more thing about the coins, like most of the time while asking money from either your grandparents or great grandparents, you have been heard this term that ek foot ki kaudi denar nahi. Now what is this futki kaudi? Let me tell you, futki kaudi is not a name of any coin or anything. It is in simple terms that the lowest bit of money, lowest to lowest. Now right now in this 21st century we can say the lowest bit of money is 1 rupee. But during earlier times we used to have anas or 1 paises. So when a person says that ek futki kaudi denar nahi, it means he is not going to give you even a single bit of money. So these are the places where even where we use the terms of money in the famous like in the form of sentences in order to convey the message what we want to say. Now apart from that, I am going to even show you the backside of 25 paise coin. The 25 paise coin backside was minted with a rhinoceros, as you can see over here. Apart from that, I will even show you a 10 paise coin which I have. These are the 10 paise coin. 1 1 1 1 1 such 10 1 paises will make these 10 paisa. As you can see, even the date is minted on that. The left side too were the new 10 paises during those times, and the left one right one is the old one. You can see there is a change in shape as well as the size. You can even see the time when it was minted. So class, here we are done with the topic of coins. Now you may have got to know that how does coins helps us. Coins helps us like from which era they have been minted, the symbols, the religious things that are minted, the symbols or the other things which are minted on that helps us to know more and more to which era does it belongs to. Now this was the time during the coins. We started up even printing notes. These are some of the old notes which I have. Even currencies helps us a lot to gain information, like from where did we got. For example, in this one which is on the screen, you can see it is printed by Reserve Bank of India. As you can see, one more thing what I love to show you, that every note has the different languages on it. Here you can see clearly it is written over here in Marathi, 50 rupees. That is the value of this money. So such we'll be even having even on all the currencies. I'll show you some of them. Now this is an old 20 rupee currency. This is a 5 rupee note. This is a 1 rupee note. Even on 1 rupee notes, it is printed the different languages of India, the value of that money. This is a 10 rupees old note, a 1 rupee one. This is the back side of 50 rupee. You can see it is written Bharatiya Reserve Bank, 50 rupee. So class, till now we have learned about 4 material sources of history, that is fort, monuments, caves and coins. Now let us move on to the last one, that is inscription. So this is one of the image of the inscriptions which you can see, inscription in the Karla caves. Now an inscription is a carving on the stone or a wall. Many inscriptions of the period of Chalukya, Rashtrakutas, Chola, Yadava kings have been found. An inscription is considered to be very important and reliable sources because it has the content, the information inscribed either on walls, or even we have copper plates as one of the sources of inscriptions. So the inscriptions which are done on the copper plates, I will even show you that. It helps in understanding various features like the language which the people of that age used to use. Apart from that, the script they used to refer, the social life of the period. Inscription carved on the sheets of the copper are known as copper sheets. Royal edicts, verdicts, etc. are inscribed on the copper sheets. Now inscriptions are the one which gives us information about the language, the script, the social life of the people at that age. For example, the one which you are having a look on the screen is about the inscription during the Karla cave. You can see at the language, this is not like the regular language which we use. Now in school we learn English, Hindi, Marathi. But these were not the language which was used during those kings. They were something different. Now these inscriptions on the stone, on the wall or on the copper sheets helps us to gain information about the language and the script as well as the social life during different kings. Now this one is Nanaghat inscription which you can see. It is in Brahmi script. Even this inscription you can see, class, it is a beautiful inscribed on the wall. You'll be not able to read what is written because the script is different. It's not like the one which we learn in school nowadays. Now this is what I was telling you all about copper plates. The inscriptions which were done on the copper sheets is known as copper plates inscriptions. Now these were especially used for royal edicts and verdicts, the mantras of the priest of a royal family were inscribed especially on this. The reason for that was these were easy portable, like we can carry it easily. That is one of the reason. This is an ancient writing. The one which we are having a look on the screen is Karnataka copper plate. You can see over here. Now in this modern time we have notebooks, we have pens, we have ball pens, gel pens, pencil, eraser, a number of multiple options, but it was not the same during those periods. It was completely different. So you can see this image clearly. It somewhat looks like a book which you all use nowadays. Our book has almost 100 to 200 pages, but that was not possible during those days. You can see the copper sheets, there were number of sheets, the number needed in order to complete that verdicts, and it is binded together this way. This is another inscription of the wall. This is an example of a copper plate inscription. Now this is Nane Gate at the top, and the down we can see the Brahmi script inscriptions at the Nane Ghat, sorry. Now this is Raigad Shila Lake. This is an inscription again from the Karla caves. This is another an example of copper plates inscriptions of Odisha. This is Raigad Fort wall inscriptions, as you can see clearly. So class, let's have a quick review about what we have learned today. Today our topic is the first chapter of the 7th standard history and civics textbook, that is sources of history. There are 3 types of sources of history: material, written, oral. So we have just covered up with the one, that is the material sources. Under material sources we have forts, we have monuments, coins, caves and inscriptions. And under that we have different categories, different types of forts and so on. Now in case if you all have any query related to this, you can ask me a question on your class group. I will sort it out. Apart from that, I have a small homework for you. Now today, as we have learned different material sources of history, I want you all to write your experience and your observation about 8 to 10 lines on 2 topics. Any one you can select. I'm going to give you 2. If you have visited any fort earlier, you can write your experience over there. What did you felt? What was the history of that particular fort? Were you able to rebuild a memory and imagination, what happened, a memory what happened over there long time ago? So your feeling I want to you all to present over there. This is the first one which you can go. We have another option, that is the second one. If you have old coins at your place, you can take that coins, observe it and write about 8 to 10 lines. What can you see over there? Like what is minted on it, from which year does it belongs to? Even though if you don't have the old coins, you can observe the coins which we use in this century, that is 21st century, and you can write about 8 to 10 lines on that. You can observe the coins and currency both. If you are going to go for the old one, old coins, no problem. If you don't have old coins, you can go for the new one, that is 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee, 5, 10 rupee coin, 20 rupees note, 10 rupee note, 50 rupee note, 100 rupee note and 500 and 2000 rupee note. Last but not least, stay home, stay safe, take care of yourself and listen to your parents like good children. Thank you.